What's good, everybody? Welcome into another episode of I-80 Football Show presented by Get Defensive Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Jordan. I'm here with my co-host, Dante.
What's up, man?
Chilling, man. Chilling. How you doing?
As long as I'm not at work, I'm alright. Low key, it's been a hectic 2 weeks at work for real.
I feel that. It's starting, like my busy season for work is starting, and I'm about to start school, so I'm just like, goodbye to my life, goodbye to fun, goodbye to joy, to time. Um, you know, between I work, you all know I work in colleges, so between all the students being back, which is nice because it gets real quiet over the summer, and then me having classes myself is just, it's cut. My fun is done.
Not the fun being done, but yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I ain't had no fun, so
Look, which is why I always find it funny when people are like, "Oh man, you love school, you really enjoy being in school." I'm like, "Nah, bro. I just like what school does for me, and I'm in a specific career where I need it more than most." To be fair, I don't hate school. Like some people like genuinely hate it. I don't hate school, obviously, because I work in colleges. Like it's hard to hate college and
right,
work in it, but like love it, enjoy it. Like if I could get to where I was going without all these degrees, I would have done it. Like
right. Those are
like
those are big words for Elmo right there. Joy, enjoy,
yeah.
and love it is crazy.
Yeah, like I'm just not, and everyone, like I work in higher ed. Everyone's like, you don't make money in higher ed, and I'm saying, no, you don't make money in higher ed. So
Damn.
I need the degrees to to back up my bold statement, so I can make some money in higher ed. You know what I'm saying? So you know, um, it is what it is. But school being back means football is back. We are
Yeah.
almost there. Preseason games are happening. I haven't watched a single one. I don't ever watch preseason games. Um, do you watch preseason games? Did you watch any of them?
I watched almost everyone I could.
Yeah, we're different in that. I do not watch preseason games, but I know football is back because, drum roll, I have YouTube TV again. I just paid for it. You know, I don't ever have YouTube TV until football starts. I got it again. I said I need to be sure to watch the games. I got it. Shout out to Big Verizon, because
Big Verizon.
Verizon is like has like a $200 discount on NFL Sunday Ticket. So I'm gonna get Sunday Ticket this year because like we don't have to rehash how miserable I was last football season having to watch the Jets and the Giants, and that's it. It
I
would be
got
slightly
I got
the Jet.
NFL. I think you get NFL Network for free at least.
Yeah, but NFL Network is now owned by ESPN, and there ain't
It's
nothing on
on
NFL
YouTube
Network
TV.
anyway.
There's
There ain't
not.
nothing on NFL Network anyway.
There's
But
not.
yeah, like the
But
Jets would
that's
be
how I watched
slightly.
every game.
What do you mean?
It was on NFL Network every preseason game.
Oh, preseason game. Yeah. I'm not watching them. Um, the Jets would be slightly more interesting this year because they have Justin Fields, and you know, at least the OSU tie him, you know, Garrett Wilson, whatever. The Giants might be slightly more interesting, just like to watch their defense. Like it'd be fun to watch Abdul Carter and that defensive line. But like in general, to sit down and watch both of them teams play every Sunday for 18 weeks, nah. Shout out to Big Verizon for that discount, boy. I'm about to get Sunday Ticket again because I need to watch something that matters. I need to
you
watch some
you able
Texans games.
you able to share Sunday Ticket? Is that possible?
I don't know. If
Cause
I can, I'll let you know.
I was like, cause I don't always get Steelers games. I
But
was like,
yeah,
oh
and at least like you're like kind of close, so that's like enough to be annoying. I don't ever like I'm never getting a Colts game, especially
yeah.
because we suck. So like we're not gonna be on national TV. Like what are we talking about? We're not doing that. So I think the only game we're on national TV is because I think we play in Germany or something. Like I think we get one of the like
Y'all
the
got one national TV game? Just one?
it wouldn't I think max two. Like maybe we're on a Thursday. I know for a fact we didn't get a Monday. Like maybe we're on a Thursday, and then I
Damn.
think we have like a Germany game or something like that. And you know those ones they air early, so I think.
Mhm.
But nah. But yeah, I need to watch the Colts suck. I'm trying to watch us go 3-15 or 14. Yeah, they don't play 18 games yet. 3-14. I'm telling you, if I'm gonna watch anyone suck, it's the Colts. So I know how bad we suck and how likely it is we're gonna get a quarterback. I don't want to watch the Jets and the Giants suck. That don't make no sense to me. That's
That's
just watching bad football to watch bad football. Like who,
yeah.
like, come
Nah,
on.
I watched the Hall of Fame game for some time. I watched the Browns preseason game. I think I watched the Chargers. I watched some of the Cowboys game. They lost. That was hilarious. Yeah, I watched a I watched a lot of preseason football.
Got you. Everyone was going crazy about Shador, and I'm like, bruh, this does not matter. And not even in a hating way. It just doesn't matter. Like it
Yeah,
genuinely does not
it
matter.
don't
Like
matter. It don't
I hope the best for the kid. Like it seems like he's learned from his mistakes because I just don't believe everyone said he interviewed bad. And so they were lying. Like I do genuinely believe he probably didn't care about the interviews because he thought he was going to be a high pick. So I think he learned from his mistake. He seems like a good kid. Like he's doing his stuff. He's grinding. He's all the good things. I don't ever pray for. Well, let me not say ever because I did pray on Tory's downfall. I rarely pray on a black man's downfall. I want him to be successful. I want him if he. I listen. He can be as good as he wants to be. Like it's not hating on him, but like everyone was going crazy, and I was like, "Dog, this
great.
doesn't matter. It's the
He
first
played
preseason
good.
game."
He played good though. He did play good.
Yeah.
In the game, but yeah, preseason doesn't matter. No one like not even NFL players really care about preseason.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I just hope that he gets a real chance. Cause like I genuinely believe the Browns did all of this for no reason because they got 2 picks next year in the first round. So they're going to trade up for a quarterback. So I hope he gets at least like 8-9 games to see if he can do it. Because maybe then someone trades for him, like, for like a 4th or 5th round, something. Or at least
I don't
maybe he
think he's
becomes the
going.
backup next year. I'm not saying he's gonna be good. I'm just
No,
saying
no, no,
like
no. I'm saying I don't think he's going to get 8 or 9 games.
it depends on if he's the number 2, because Joe Flacco's old
Yeah,
ass not
true.
playing 17.
No, he's not playing 17. No, but Joe Flacco's going to play until Deshaun. We all know Deshaun Watson is getting the starting role when he gets back, right? Like
I forgot he was. Is he not? He's not out for the year.
No, he's running.
Is he?
Yeah, he put
That's
out there
another
that
black man whose downfall I prayed on. hey, you know.
but
Really? I
yeah,
thought he
yeah.
was gone for the year.
Nah.
Mm.
He's, apparently he's currently doing sprints or jogging or something. Like apparently
Yeah,
he's
he's
running. I
sprinting from them fucking charges.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be I think he's gonna come back at some point in the year. So I don't um he can run right the hell off my team. Well, listen,
Hey,
listen,
hey, you know what I'm
he's
saying?
listen, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, he's definitely gonna get the job back when he's healthy, and I think he's definitely gonna be healthy this season.
Honestly, dog, I haven't even thought about him. I really didn't know he was running. Like whoever said that, I'm guessing it was Sammy. Whoever said he can run the
Yeah,
hell
it was
off my
Sammy. Yeah,
team, yeah,
yeah,
touche. I'm not even a Browns fan. Get that nigga the fuck out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even think about him. I didn't realize he was running. Damn.
yeah, yeah.
I hope he gets
I
injured
think that
again.
came out like damn. I think that
Hey,
came out
nigga,
last year.
you
Like,
know what I'm saying? That him with 2
not
working
last year. I mean,
legs.
yesterday or the day before.
Hey, him with 2 working legs is a menace to society. Put him on the sideline.
I think
Supervised.
I was about to say I think when he's not playing, that gives him more time to
Supervised.
do more things. But
And
yeah,
then maybe you go to jail.
you know what? You're right.
Like, you know what?
You're
I
right.
don't know. I don't know. You know what? Just get him out of here. I don't even want to talk about him.
He does not need to play and f up whatever we have going on. I mean, y'all not going. You okay? He will not make us better.
Y'all listen. There's no like
$300 million. I don't know what to tell you.
Browns fan. Just come here with me. Come here with me. There's no hope for better. You should be in the same camp that I am, and that this is the best QB draft in a couple of years, and you want a top 3 pick. And you traded away from a generational player to get that pick. Like, that's why y'all have That's why y'all got 2 first-round picks. And I know no Browns fan wants to hear it, but 2 + 2 equals first-round quarterback. You do not trade away from Travis Hunter to go draft a fucking left tackle or a defensive end next year. They said either we're going to be bad enough to be in the top 3 or we're going to trade into the top 3. It's the only reason you get rid of Travis Hunter, because this year's quarterback class was booty cheeks, garbage, trash.
Shedeur Sanders, you mean?
Huh?
You mean Shedeur?
No. They traded out of the Travis Hunter pick.
Oh yeah.
And got a first-round pick next year.
I don't care if we go 3-12. It would be more losses than that. But yeah.
Yeah, there's 17 games. It's okay. I said 3-15. Our math is not good right now.
Jordan, I do not think we are winning like that. I simply don't want him on the field.
Mood. I don't want him in the stadium. Get him out of here.
Unfortunately, that's probably going to happen if he's
They're
healthy.
just gonna be showing pictures of that ugly ass man on the sidelines. He's gonna be
I am so sorry to have to tell you that he probably will be on the field if he's healthy this season.
It's okay. He's gonna injure himself again. That's
probably.
But
yeah,
I'm not even a Browns fan. I just the thought. Anyways, to talk about something we actually want to talk about, rule changes. And yes, I do want to talk about rule changes more than I want to talk about rapists. So college football released some rule changes. I think none of them matter at all for any reason. The big one, emphasis on air quotes if you're listening to this and not watching us, which by the way, you can watch us on YouTube. You can also technically watch us in the Spotify app, which is weird. I don't know how good that works, but like Spotify does do video podcasts now, but you can watch us.
Somebody time that woman out. I'm sorry. She said he could go to the Steelers. Somebody time that woman out.
Hey, man, he wouldn't be the first. That's all I'm saying. Rule changes. Again, air quotes, big one is the injury rule change. They're trying to stop players from faking injuries, which 1, I don't think happens as much as people think. And 2, also like doesn't really affect the game that much, but they want to get it out of the game. So basically, the way they're doing this, because there's no real way to know if someone's really injured or not, is if you go down after the ball is spotted, which means you had X number of seconds to be injured. I guess they're essentially saying, like, if you're injured, it's going to happen immediately. If you wait 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, you're probably bullshitting. That's their logic. It's really the only way you could do it. If you go down after the ball is spotted, the team will be charged a timeout. If your team does not have any timeouts left, then you get charged a 5-yard delay of game penalty. So essentially, and then as with all the injury rules, the player must remain out for 1 down. Even if the team is granted a timeout, they have to, which actually that's not true for regular injuries. If they call a timeout, you can go in the next play, but you have to stay out an entire down. And you have to get approval from the medical professional. So you do have to take your happy ass over to the tent and be like, my bad, gang, I'm fine. So, that is how they are doing that. Another change, which again doesn't really matter, is they're changing timeouts in overtime. So in the first 2 overtime periods, you get 1 timeout each period, which is how it's always been. The change is that after that, you just get 1 timeout total, which is kind of fair, because like after that, you're only doing the 1 play thing. Like you're doing the essentially the goal line play thing. So it's like, you don't need to call a timeout every time you come up. Fine. Again, don't think that really matters, but after 2 overtimes, you get 1 timeout. Well, that is stupid. So they're changing. Okay, I don't even want to say that.
I thought that was already a rule. That's weird. I'm looking at this on kick returns thing.
What are you talking about?
It says on kick returns, if any player on the receiving team holds out his arms to make a T signal during the kick, the team gives up its right to make a return and the play will be whistled dead. So
no, previously it was only the returner.
So if anybody does it.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because people were doing that and it was confusing people. And I think that happened with like Iowa with a punt return or something like that. And then like dude like scored a touchdown and he was like, I didn't call it. And they were like, somebody else did. We saw the signal. I think it's one of those things where now they're like, if anybody puts their arm out, you can't return.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's just sort of like a discipline thing. Yeah, the other ones are kind of insignificant. Some more things about not trying to like force the snap. and force false starts. And then they also fixed the Oregon thing where they put more than 12 men on the field and then the clock ran out. They made like a temporary fix to that last year. Now this year they have an official fix, which is if the infraction is treated as a live ball and it is a 5-yard penalty. If this occurs after the 2-minute timeout in either half, the
Yeah, I just
offense will have the option to reset the game clock back to the time displayed at the snap. The game clock will then restart on the next snap. So if you remember, Oregon supposedly on purpose put 12 men on the field, the clock ran because that was the old rule, and Ohio
Oh,
State lost a lot of time and then ended up not being able to get down there for a kick. The time ran out, so they fixed that officially because again they did put like a temporary fix, so nobody else did that for the rest of the season. And then the last thing is gun violence is not permitted. So you are no longer allowed to make any of the brandishing firearms things. You can't,
boo, boo.
yeah, yeah. Can't do anything. So
Uh,
you can't pat the waist. You got to go back to the seatbelt celebration. You can't pat the waist like you strapped. You can't like shoot at people, machine gun. You can't none of that. Any of that is unsportsmanlike penalty.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of bow and arrows happening.
To be fair, to be fair, this is
Mhm.
dumb, but I'm pretty sure a couple of people that was doing that actually shot somebody. And the one dude didn't shoot nobody, but he killed somebody in his car. So it's like it's black, it's anti-black, it is, but like it's also just like
Sounds kinda fun too.
some of them not acting. Some of them acting and some of them not acting. Some of them keep that thing on them. And so they just said they want,
The country that's so about having their guns and their Second Amendment. Oh, now a gun celebration is
hey,
just too much for
black,
television.
hey,
Oh my god.
hey.
Oh my god.
The right to own guns has never been for black people.
I know, but like the fact
um,
that if that's the case, bro, we're like,
again, I don't care about any of these. Like, I think they're all dumb. Like, if I had to care about one, it would be the Oregon one because that affected Ohio State. But like, none of these rule changes matter for anything. I don't think the casual fan is going to notice them. Um,
I think the T thing is kind of important. That is confusing.
yeah,
The kick
yeah,
return thing.
for sure. That one's fine. All right, so
That has
traffic update. As you all know, this is our preview. This is our
I
last
start bring
preview.
I'd bring out a bazooka
They're gonna find you for
as a
that.
as
They
a
gonna find you for that.
as a
Um,
celebration.
this is our last preview. If you have not listened to the three previous ones, we have the last 3 episodes. You
The
should
John
definitely
Morant
listen to
thing.
them. This is no, no. This is our title contenders tier. These are the teams that we think one are in line to win the Big Ten, but also maybe more importantly, depending on who you ask, have a chance to win the national championship and make it 3 straight for the Big Ten, which I do think is really important. I think the Big Ten needs to win the championship this year. It doesn't matter who does it. I do think they need to win the championship this year.
Me?
I think that, yeah, I do, because I think that there's a lot of back and forth on, SEC dominance, Big Ten dominance, all this other sort of stuff.
Uh,
And 3 straight is hard to deny. They can make excuses for 2. 3 straight's hard to deny. And I think if the SEC wins this year, they're going to just sort of like, again, the Big Ten could then go and win the next year and it'd be 3-4. But like all of next year, they're basically just gonna like pretend the Big Ten didn't win the last 2, and like they've been on top the whole time. Whereas if you win 3, and let's call it Penn State, if Penn State wins it, it's 3 in a row and 3 different teams. I think that really like it finally pushes the casual, especially the national media, to accept that the conferences are more equal than they want. Where 2 again, I think is a blank. So I do think the Big Ten needs to win one of
okay.
these 3 teams. But
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
I'm sure you all can guess. But if you can't, the 3 teams we're talking about is Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon. We're gonna start with Oregon. I think Oregon is the worst of the 3, and as I would like to remind everyone listening, worst is relative. Um, a lot of times, people get mad at me when they say worst, or you say bad, or you say all of these things, and it's just like bad and worst and all these things are relative. It's just like rankings. Like
They're
if
probably
I
gonna lose
say,
2 games. They're gonna lose 2 games.
yeah,
That's really
right,
what.
literally, it's just like with music. No one wants to talk about music. If I say Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is Kendrick Lamar's worst album, people will be like, "Oh, not you, he doesn't have a bad album. All of his albums are classics," which is not true, by the way. But also, you can say that's his worst album and still think it's a good album. Personally, that album's shit. But
Damn, that's crazy.
irregardless, it's just like if you're ranking things, something has to be worse. You know what I'm saying? Like it just does. And worse doesn't mean bad, right? Like Jay-Z's worst album is better than a lot of people's best album, but it is, if we're ranking it, it's his worst album. Like Schoolboy Q ranked his albums and he put Setbacks last. I think he put Setbacks last. He said Setbacks was his worst album. I love Setbacks, but if you're ranking them, so like we're ranking these teams, there's 3 of them. I still think Oregon could be a national title contender, but Oregon is probably the worst of this bunch.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, get over it. Um,
We wouldn't be the
Oregon
only
was
we ain't the
for,
only one that think it either. Like,
yeah. For 14 weeks, 15 weeks, Oregon was arguably the best team in the country. They started out 13-0. I think they're potentially the only team ever to beat Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State in the same season. Um, they won the Big Ten in their first year in the Big Ten. They were the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. And then they got smacked by Ohio State. That's irregardless to this, but that's how their season ended. And so going into this year, they are hoping to do that again. They are bringing back some people, but to this, again, worst point, I think it's largely like they just lose a lot in really important areas where they're going to be a really good team. But when you get to the top of the top, I think there may be some signs there. And it's even worse. Like one of the things with recording these things is like you can be really high on a team, and then a couple of days later after it comes out, someone gets injured. Well, in Oregon's case, because we recorded this one later, they've had a major injury already.
ooh, damn.
Trey McNutt, who was in line
Oh
to be one
no.
of their starting safeties as a freshman, because they had a lot of depth issues and talent issues with their secondary, i.e. while Ohio State went up 34-0 because they just
Yeah.
bombed on them. He broke his leg and he's out for the year. So they're
He's done.
already
Damn.
like being hit
Damn.
with some things in places where they really couldn't. And so Oregon loses. So first of all, on offense, they're bringing back 40% of their production, which is 107th in the nation. They
That's
lost
not
their
well.
starting quarterback. They lost both. They lost their starting running back. They lost Tez Johnson, their wide receiver. They lost Terrence Ferguson, the corner. They lost Trayshawn Holden, their second wide receiver, and then their best returning wide receiver, Evan Stewart, is also injured.
Damn.
So they were supposed to bring Evan Stewart back, but he's injured. So because of that, they're losing their top 4 pass catchers, 3 wide receivers and a tight end, their starting running back and their starting quarterback. And if I remember correctly, they are losing 4 starters from the offensive line. So their entire offense. I mean, basically, if you do the math, the only person that started for them last year that's coming back either due to going to the pros or injury is their center. Like they're essentially replacing 10 people on offense because of, again, injuries and people going pro.
Yeah.
As Oregon does, they hit the transfer portal, so they are talented. But I just think that is sort of too much to do. Dante has laughed at me for a month and a half because I'm not high on Dante Moore, who's the quarterback that they're bringing in. And it's just, my thing is just like Dante Moore can get better. Absolutely. He can get better. That would be great for him.
It
Love to
could.
see
It's
it.
possible.
But
It's very possible.
we're talking about him like he's guaranteed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like we didn't play him 9 games of shit. Like we watched him play 9 games of shit. Like it's not even like me, an Ohio State fan, or a Texas fan, or a Bama fan, or a Georgia fan. All these teams with new quarterbacks being like, I think Ty Simpkins can do it. I think Julian Sanders is going to be great. I think insert quarterback we've never seen. We watched Dante Moore suck for 9 games. So, like, just to ignore that, I think is a little crazy. And I do think we have to be honest about the fact that could he get better? Of course, but maybe he's just not that good. Who knows? If he's not that good, that's going to be a major problem for them, especially because one of the reasons he was so bad is because UCLA's offensive line was really bad. And as mentioned, Oregon is replacing 4 starters. They are bringing in 2 transfers, but the transfers, Emmanuel Pregnon and Isaiah World, it depends on how you feel about them. Some people are high about them. Some people are low. I am not going to pretend to be an offensive line connoisseur to tell you my opinion on them. What I will say is if they don't work out, again, you have a major issue. I think the biggest problem that they have on their offensive line, though, is they have a right guard who is in his 7th season. And I would just like to remind you, if you've been in college for 7 years, you're not good. Because you're 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Really wanted that master's, you know.
You didn't. 7 years, you didn't.
You wanted 2 degrees, you know.
It took you it took you 7 years to get 2 degrees.
That's 4 years for a regular one, and then 3 more years.
Nope. A
Some
master's
people,
is 2.
It depends on the program.
A lot, there's very rarely a master's that's 3. And honestly, at this point, half of them are a year.
A 3-year architecture. I think architecture is 3 years.
He's not an architect.
Okay.
And he's not in medicine. So it took him 3 years to get him out. Dante, don't lie on this podcast. Don't lie. You don't even know him.
I don't. But it might have took him 5 years to get his degree. You never know. Took me 5. I transferred. All that transferring and stuff, that does set you back sometimes.
Right. Here, Dante, here's the problem with this.
Right.
Were you trying to go to the NFL? Were you also playing football?
No, but I was trying to get to the NFL.
If you were playing football, if you were playing football and you were good enough to go to the NFL, you wouldn't be in college 7 years later. Like, that's my point. You know what I'm saying? Like, school, grades, whatever. Like, I get it. But to be in college for 7 years, that means you're not good enough for the league and you're just playing to play, which is not something I would want on my offensive line if I was at Oregon.
Now, you know, I might have an NIL.
I'm not hating on him. Happy for him. He gonna end up with like 3 degrees by the time he's done with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Happy for him. I'm just saying on my offensive line, I don't want a 7th-year starter.
The experience,
give me the freshman,
man.
The experience of being ass, Dante, bro. Don't piss me off on this episode. No, because you wouldn't accept the 7-year starter at Alabama. I can tell you that right now. You're like, who the hell is this player? 7 years? No, stop playing with me. Stop. We're not gonna do this. So. Essentially, they're replacing everyone. The best thing that they have going for them is they brought in Mekhi Hughes from Tulane. He has combined for 2,700 yards and 22 scores. He is last year he ran for 1,000 yards after contact.
Lord.
He is one of the best running backs in the country. He is instantly one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. But again, is he going to have an offensive line to run behind? We don't know. If the quarterback's not good, they're just going to stack the box.
Got a 7-year starter. There's so much experience there.
Yep. The other thing, though, that is good for them is the Corian Moore freshman. He's very, very good. The problem that I have with DeCorian Moore, and this is not him personally, the problem that I have with the situation for him is people are trying to compare him to Jeremiah Smith, which I think is unfair for anyone. But I think the most underrated thing about Jeremiah Smith is that for the first, essentially, he didn't have to be the go-to wide receiver until he was ready to be the go-to wide receiver because Ohio State had Emeka Egbuka. If you watch the beginning of the year, on 3rd down, they went to Emeka. In the red zone, they went to Emeka. Like, when they needed it, they went to Emeka. That started to change as the year went on, and as Jeremiah Smith made himself known and became dominant, and that culminated with the national championship, where the last play of the game, they throw it up to him. The thing with DeCorian Moore, because of all the injuries, he, despite how good people expect him to be, and I do think he's going to be really good, he's their number one wide receiver, which reminds me last year of Ryan Williams, who was also really good, but as the number one wide receiver, he had no protection. And then he started out hot and he was still good, but he didn't even end the year with 1,000 yards because eventually they start to double team you. You hit the freshman wall. There's just no protection. And now they're putting their best player on you and things like that. And so you don't really get that ability to learn, even if you're a really good player. So I think that
I think that's a learning experience in itself, but yeah.
it is, but when you're trying, that helps them for 2026.
Mhm.
Like that's going to make him a much better player for 2026. I think that's going to make Ryan Williams a much better player for 2025, right? But when you're talking about winning now, that is a concern.
Yeah.
The thing is, it is Oregon. They are really talented. They are still one of the most talented teams in the country. So I don't think that they're going to fall apart like Florida State did and win 3 games. I still expect them to win 9, 10, 11 games based on their
Yeah.
schedule and some of the things like that. But the thing that
No
I
way they losing
mentioned,
that many games.
yeah, the thing that I mentioned are the things that if they don't win a national championship, that's why. If they don't win the Big Ten, those are the things why. Um, Going on defense, they are losing 9 starters on defense as well. They are returning back 45% of their production, which is 95th in the country. The thing with the defense, though, is they have more good players returning, so I do think that helps. Again, I'm worried about their secondary because they lost to safety, but they also brought in Dylan Thieneman from Purdue, who's one of the best safeties in the country.
Ooh,
So he's a really good player. And then they have Mateo Uyunglele, who's an amazing pass rusher. He
yeah.
was really good last year. He's only going to be better this year, you hope. They have Bryce Bodicher at linebacker, who's a good player. And they also have um uh what is his name? Tim Tuoti, who's another, like, so they have 2 good like their defensive line should be pretty good. They
Is it
have 2
Tatum?
good pass rushers.
Tatum? Tatum?
I'm not
No,
sure.
yeah, it's probably yeah.
Um so they should have a pretty good defensive line, which is going to help them. They have a good linebacker, which helps them, and then they have a really good safety. The biggest problem on their defense is going to be depth, right? You already lost a safety, that doesn't help. If any of these players get injured, which knock on wood, we never want anyone to get injured, but that is the course of a football season. If any of these players get injured, they're going to have some concerns there. But I do think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with on defense, and I do think that they're going to get after the passer. Again, if he's fully healthy, I fully expect Mateo to have 10 sacks minimum. So I do think that that's going to help, and I think their defense is going to have to really they're going to have to lean on their defense more than they have previously.
Yeah. They what is it? They're bringing back the leading tackler from last year, which
Yeah, the
is nice.
linebacker, and
Yeah.
then they're bringing back the pass rusher.
Yeah.
Mateo. So, and they're bringing back some depth pieces, right? Some players who didn't start but got some time. So
Got the
it's
number one
less,
JUCO corner, which is you never know.
yeah,
That could be
with going up.
dangerous. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It could
I
be
think,
dangerous both ways.
yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I've said this for a while with Oregon, is you just never know where the transfer thing is going to go. And while again, I don't expect them to be while I don't expect them to be Florida State, I do worry that if it doesn't all
100%.
click, how bad that looks for them. But again, worst case for Oregon, and to be clear, I'm not even picking this worst case. I'm going to tell you what I picked here very shortly. Worst case for Oregon, in my opinion, is 9-3, right? And I'm not even picking that. I do just think that there are some things that, you know, make them not one of the best teams in the country as they were previously. Any final thoughts on Oregon before we do the schedule?
They are they are lucky they got a I was gonna since we're getting into it, they are lucky their schedule is what it is.
Yeah, schedule's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
Trying
Montana
to get my
State,
head
Oklahoma
schedule.
State, Northwestern, 3 wins.
Yeah.
Um, oh, hold on. Sorry. I was on the wrong schedule. Not on the thing, on our little document. And this is a reminder for all of you. We pick every single game,
Every
every
single
single
one.
one. It ends up being 160 something games. What we say on this podcast, we stick to on this podcast. We do not change it, even if we feel different
I'm
about
about
these teams when the season starts, i.e., Indiana last year. Definitely screwed us. So when we do these previews, we do pick every single game, and then we reference that all season. So that is something for you all to kind of stay with us on. So again, they start out with Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, all wins. Oregon State win to start out 4-0, and then they go at Penn State. I think that this is an interesting game because Penn
It
State
is.
does not have like a great record in these games, largely because, and by in these games, what I mean is this is their whiteout game. Which is beautiful that the whiteout game is finally at night. I'm glad that they did that for them because they won't put Ohio State at night. At least we get the
They're
whiteout
never
at
gonna do
night.
that. And you
They
know why? It's because this city is just so ridiculous.
That's not why. It's all because of Fox and Ohio State's the biggest draw.
It's part of that too. That's the biggest reason. But that's part of it. That is a little bit part of it. I think Columbus people are just a bit too dangerous to have that game at night.
I think that's crazy coming from someone from Cleveland, but I said that from Northeast Ohio. Ain't nobody scared of Columbus. They don't even be doing nothing down there.
Nobody's scared of Columbus, but
I
you know you're
don't.
not. There's a certain time you leaving any of those festivals.
Yeah, but they shoot up everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but that's not why they're not playing the games at night. It's fully the games at night is absolutely a Fox thing. They would just let somebody die, like they would I'm telling. There's nobody in sports business that's like, well, we shouldn't do this because they might shoot. They don't care about people that much. They care about the money, and the money is Fox paying them all that money to have the game at noon.
oh
Like I
shit,
get what you're saying. I'm just not gonna pretend that like
that's
anybody at
funny.
Ohio State
Fair
cares
enough.
about that.
Fair enough.
Like, so, but I'm happy that this is, but, but the point that I was getting at is they don't typically have a great record in these games because they're always playing Ohio State, but it is genuinely one of, if not the best atmospheres. We both have losses there, which fair. Also, I think this is just too early in the season for this team to be fully ready. Okay. I was going to say, I thought you had a win. Hold on. Ooh. I don't like this. Dang. Dang it. All right. Well, as a reminder, as I literally just said, once we say it, we can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking at Oregon and I'm like, man, I don't want to give them this many games. But we've already talked about every other team. So I can't change anything. So this is what it's going to be. So we both have losses at Penn State, which I think is fair. Also, I just think that it's a little too early in the season to expect them to be very good.
Yeah, I just think still, even if Oregon kind of turned it around, I think Penn State is still the better team.
Yeah.
Anyway, all around. So I with again, you think Dante Moore is trash, so I don't think he's gonna have a good game against Penn State. So.
In that environment, 3 picks. I'm telling you right now, 3 picks. Bye week, and then they play Indiana. You have a loss. I have a win. I think for me, I fully understand the loss there. Like that definitely makes sense. And if I was redoing this, like putting them at 10-2 is more likely. Like just to be fair, I have them going 11-1, largely off of their schedule. I don't think that's realistic, but it's just hard to pick it. I think ultimately, they get upset, right? I think to continue down the schedule,
I think there's possible too another upset in this schedule.
Yeah, like I don't know that Indiana is much of an upset, although people will call it that. But like at Rutgers, Wisconsin, at Iowa, USC, at Washington, it honestly could very much be the Washington game. I ultimately, And Iowa is
Yeah,
important too. I ultimately think they go
I'll
10-2.
be recording
I just
everything.
wasn't able to pick it in a way that made sense with some of the other schedules. So we'll see. But I think the loss at Indiana definitely makes sense. At Rutgers, I'm trying to go to that game.
That'll
That
be a
we
good
have
one.
a win, and so
That'd be
we
a good game.
for sure. We have them winning out the rest of the time. They play Rutgers, Wisconsin, bye week, at Iowa, Minnesota, USC, at Washington. You have them going 10-2. I have them going 11-1.
Those are
Spiritually,
not
I think that
coming.
this is
They
a
just
10-2
went
team.
out.
It's just when you're picking the schedule and you're trying to win a contest, it
You
was
just want
hard
to
for me to
lose.
do that, especially because you have to think about some of the other teams. And I didn't want certain teams winning 9 games, and I didn't want Indiana winning 11.
I'll be
And
back.
it is what it is. Any final thoughts on Oregon?
Nope. Nah. All good.
Yeah. This is not like rocket science, but more than most, this is a team that cannot stomach an injury. Like, even though I don't think
Yeah,
Dante Moore is going to
yeah.
be great, if he goes down,
It's
cooked,
GG's.
cooked, GG's. Like, see
It's
you in
done.
2026. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if DeCorian Moore, the wide receiver, goes down, they're gonna turn into Michigan. They're gonna
Somebody
have to
on
run the ball
defense.
30. Like, they're gonna
Yeah.
have to run the ball 30 times. If
Have
the
to.
pass rusher go like this, more than typical for a team of their caliber, they're like one injury away. But what I will say, to be positive, this is a team that is very much set up for a 2026 run. They're
Yeah,
very
this is
young.
definitely
They're
this
gonna
year. This is
bring back
definitely
a
this
lot of these players. They're getting a lot of really, really talented freshmen who are going to get starting experience and then be there for 2 more years, barring a transfer. This is a down year where I think they're immediately going to bounce back. Even if worst case scenario happens, they lose the quarterback, they go 8-4, 9-3. This is, I really think, setting them up for a really positive run in 2026, where they will again be a force to be reckoned with. I think Oregon is one of those teams where they're not fully at. I think they're sort of in line with Penn State, where like occasionally Penn State will have a bad year. Like Penn State will go 8-4. Ohio State never goes 8-4. Like Penn State will go 8-4, and then the next year they will win 10, 11 games. I think it's safe to consider Oregon in that category where
year.
they're never going to lose more than 4. And that's like doomsday. And then you can almost expect the
They're always
next
gonna have
year.
the talent there because of who they are, and they can recruit because Oregon and their Nike connection and things like that. Like they're gonna be able to always have talent in on their team to keep them from going 7-5, 6-6. Like that it would have to be catastrophic to see 6-6, especially in this with this schedule.
Yeah, especially, yeah, like you said, especially with this schedule. Moving on to
Because there's
Ohio
teams
State.
on this schedule that could have catastrophic injuries and make it even easier for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Ohio State. Ohio State is, again, one of the best teams in the country. It's just the way that it goes. Um, I think that there has been a lot of misunderstanding of Ohio State's roster, misreporting of Ohio State's roster. I think there's a looking at the number of players drafted, right? Saying 14 players drafted. Ohio State's it's gonna be tough this year. But I really think it's sort of important to like put into context where those players were drafted and who they are sort of bringing after them. So for an example, and to do the sort of direct comparison with Oregon, first of all, Ohio State's not losing as much of their production. It's close, but not as much. But the thing that is different is that, for example, on defense, Oregon's losing almost their entire defensive line. So did Ohio State, but Ohio State has more of a rotation and they're not young. So like the players who are starting for Ohio State this year are 4-year guys who have played a lot of snaps for 2 years. So
Mhm.
this is their first year starting, but they're not new players,
Yeah.
right? Like they've been heavily in the rotation for 2 years. They're going to have an uptick in snaps, but that's a difference, right? You're not bringing in freshmen, you're not bringing in young guys there. They're one of the most important things with Ohio State and one of the most important things with Oregon and the negative. Ohio State is bringing back 4 starters on their offensive line. And I think that's the thing that's being glossed over the most. When a lot of people out here talk about Ohio State, they talk about who they're losing on the lines, plural. And it's just like Ohio State's bringing back everyone but their left tackle, essentially. The right tackle's gone too, but they because of all the left guard is gone too, but because of all the injuries. So yeah, well, with Ohio State, because like they're bringing back because of all the injuries, they had a lot of uh players play other positions, things like that.
Mhm.
They're bringing back four of them. They're bringing back um the left guard. They're bringing back the center, and the center was the starter 2 years ago, was the backup last year, finished the game as the center. They're bringing
Mhm.
back two players who played guard for them. One of those players, Austin Sareveld, is supposedly just having the best offseason of his life, and he's basically took the left tackle job from
Nice.
a transfer. Like, he played guard last year. They were going to play him at right tackle. He took the tackle job from the transfer. So left tackle, left guard, center, and right guard are all players who played who started for us for multiple games last year. And then
Or at
the
least played.
battle well, they all started because of the injuries and things. They didn't start the full season, but they all have at least 2 or 3
Oh,
games starting
okay,
experience
okay.
from last year. Some of them have much more than that. Multiple of them, like essentially, our starting offensive line in the playoffs is who we brought back. It wasn't the starting offensive line week one, but the players we played in the playoffs is basically who we brought back because of the
Okay.
injuries to other players.
Mm.
And then we have two transfers who are battling it out for right tackle. Essentially, we have seven starting caliber players on the offensive line, which I think is the most important thing about the team, because you outside of Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, let's be honest, because you do, like a lot of other teams, have a first year starting quarterback and you
Yep,
don't know what that's going to look like.
yep.
Ohio State lost both their running backs. They had the best running back duo in the country last year. They lost Anaka Egbuka, who was huge for Jeremiah Smith. I already mentioned that, and all the wide receivers. So they have talent, but they don't have that like third, fourth year player leadership. They lost the quarterbacks. They have a first year starting quarterback. But I think Jeremiah Smith, four starters on the offensive line help. And then Ohio State has all the talent in the world, as they always do. It is going to be, and if you think about it, Will Howard and Kyle McCord is the worst quarterbacks that we've had in a decade. So as long as this quarterback is at that level or better, Ohio State will be good. If he's worse than that, then we have another conversation. But Ohio State fans
You
weren't
probably still
happy.
only lose 2 games if he's worse.
Right. But Ohio State wasn't happy with Kyle McCord. And Kyle McCord went to Syracuse and broke records. Like, the bad thing is Ohio State's worst quarterback in a decade would start at 80, 90, 100 other programs. So it's relative to the expectation there. All of the things out of camp are that the two guys vying for the job are going to be good. There's a lot of talk, but it's hard to assume, right? Like, I don't want to sit on here and assume the quarterback's going to be great. You don't know. But the things
Uh-huh.
around the quarterback, I do think are going to be good. This is Ohio State's most talented offensive line in a very long time. Like, we've talked about it on this show. Other people have talked about it. Ohio State has went into multiple years with their offensive line being a weakness. And the best thing that happened to Ohio State last year, and is all of the offensive line injuries, because now instead of all these unknown players, you have players who started games in a playoff run and won a national
Yeah.
championship. So the big thing is,
There's a lot of experience there, that's good.
yes, it's quarterback and wide receiver, right? Quarterback and running back. You have the wide receivers, but the quarterback has to be able to get the ball to them, and running back has to be able to take some pressure off a young quarterback. If those do not work out, if the quarterbacks and the running backs are not good, then again, the ceiling at Ohio State is huge, but we call this the national title tier. If that does
It's
not work out, they're not in contention for a national title. Like, that's what stops them from winning a national title.
is saying the starter, like, has the quarterback been picked as the
He is
starter?
he's the assumed starter.
Okay,
It
so
hasn't been
even
picked.
still today, Day hasn't made a decision.
Yeah, it's between Julian Sand and Lincoln Kingholz, who
Okay.
are two totally different players. Everyone is again assuming that it is Sand. The thing that I will say though with this is, if Sand's not the starter, then Lincoln Keenholz beat him. So
Mhm.
I still have faith that he'll be good. I think in the Ohio State system, you sort of expect that they'll be good. The question is just how good, especially because we don't have this sort of senior leadership and things like that, where if you're if you're, let's say, just for example, if you're worse than Kyle McCord, I don't know if we have the team to overcome that, but you don't have to be CJ Stroud. Like, they just need a good quarterback. They don't need you know, a future number one pick. If they have a future number one pick, this is a team that can win a national championship. So a lot, of course, as with all these teams, right? Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama, all these teams, a lot of it does depend on how good the quarterback is, which isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
So, oh, and then the last thing about the offense, which is another thing that's going to help them, they have arguably the best tight end in the country now, because they brought in Max Clare from Purdue. Max Clare is probably going to be a first-round pick at tight end, something that Ohio State never has. So that also does sort of negate it, because a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend, and
Yes.
Max Clare
Old quarterback's
led.
best friend too.
Yes, but Max Clare is a receiving threat at Ohio State that we have not had. Ohio State's like receiving record for tight ends is like 300 something yards, something like that. He's probably going to blow
Damn.
that out. Yeah, he's probably going to blow that out the water. And the important thing with that is, when you have the wide receivers that we have, when you have Jeremiah Smith, everyone is going to want to double Jeremiah. And that's harder to do when you have a tight end. Like, yes, you have the wide receivers, but they're further away from the ball. Just talking football strategy, if you double Jeremiah, you put a linebacker on Max Clare. Historically, a linebacker on Ohio State's tight ends was an even matchup. Now it's a gross mismatch, almost like what we had with Penn State last year. Not saying he's that good, but where it was like, if you put a linebacker on him, it was an immediate mismatch. So that's going to make them harder to it's going to make them harder to defend. Not that Ohio State needs to be any harder to defend
At all.
on defense. They lose Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator. He's now at Penn State. They bring in Matt Patricia, who, I don't know, man. Matt Patricia's hard, right?
I don't think he's a good. I don't think he's a good defensive coach. I just don't. I don't.
You know, you look at it and you say he was the defensive coordinator for multiple Patriot championships, but then you also say he was on a team with Bill Belichick.
He's only good there. He was only good there. I think he's only good because anywhere else, he, as a head coach or as a defensive coordinator, anywhere else, he hasn't been that good.
There you have it. So it's hard to mess up at Ohio State, right? But we have had defensive coordinators mess up, but you just don't know, right? And it's rare that you hear players or coaches say bad things about people, which means they could be lying to you. All of the reviews are that he's really good. All the players are talking about how well he teaches the defense and all this stuff, and
it
they
just
seem
doesn't
to
translate
love him.
to the field though.
So my thing is just, I'm willing to, well, first of all, he's the coach of my favorite team. I'm willing to give him some room for this, largely because being a bad head coach doesn't make you a bad coordinator.
No. He's also been a bad coordinator outside of
where was he a defensive coordinator at outside of New England?
I think he actually ended up being a defensive coordinator in Detroit at some point after losing that head coaching job. And the funny thing, and the funny thing is, I think he went back to be a defensive coordinator with the New England Patriots and was bad after getting the head coaching job.
No,
like
you're mixing that up.
Am I?
Yeah, he was back on the Patriots, but they made him the offensive coordinator, which is
Matt Patricia.
Yes, you don't remember that?
No, and that kind of proves my point.
No. That's a Bill Belichick thing. Which is why I'm like, why are people like hyping up Bill Belichick? Or maybe Bill Belichick wasn't there before. No, that was a Bill Belichick thing. He remember the year that he didn't hire an offensive coordinator? Like he had two defensive guys calling his offense.
Was that like Tom Brady's last year?
It was either Tom Brady's last year or the year that he got done. Yeah, it was hold on. It was 2022.
Okay, so Tom Brady wasn't there. That's when he was ready to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, and then he was the head coach of the Lions, which didn't go well. Which I hold against him, but don't hold against him, because all the coaches who try to be Belichick, it never works out. Which you should never do that. Be your own person.
But that defense was trash too. for the
Yeah.
Detroit Lions.
And then he goes back to the Patriots. He becomes the offensive coordinator. Bill Belichick is fucking senile. And then that's it. And then he becomes Ohio State's defensive coordinator. This is not me telling you he's going to be good. This is me saying I'm not. I want to see it.
I think his defensive coordinator greatness is a lot to do with Bill Belichick.
That's fine. The one thing that I would say about that is it is easier to be a defensive coordinator in college than the NFL.
Okay.
So I'm not saying he's good. I'm just also not ready to say he's not good. I just want to see it, and that is all I'll say. I just want to see it because for example, Chip Kelly struggled in the NFL and came back and immediately had good offenses, and he went back
his
to like
offenses didn't struggle in the NFL.
The last couple years they did, which is why he got fired. That and he was weird. Like he played like he was trying to bring college stuff to thing. Like there's some, like the levels don't always work for certain people. We'll see. We'll see. If he's bad, I won't be surprised. If he's good, I won't be surprised. If he's terrible, that would probably surprise me. But like, if he has like, if Ohio State has like,
we'll get a chance to even see him be terrible. I think he'll be fired before he gets to terrible.
Yeah, I mean, because we have coaches on the staff that people thought would be the defensive coordinator. So, but all of this to say, we don't know, right? Which matters for this team as a national championship contender.
I'm surprised Bill Belichick didn't pick up Matt Patricia.
I think he went to no, he hired his son.
Yeah, no. So I'm still surprised he still didn't hire him to do something.
If Ohio State didn't hire him, he probably would have. But go be an assistant under a coach 20 years younger than you and Bill Belichick's son at a school that's not going to win a national championship, or go be a defensive coordinator, run your own show at a school. It's not, like.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, of course, I get it.
The last thing I'll say about Matt Patricia is I don't think he wants to stay in college forever. A lot of the NFL guys don't. So he is going to be very motivated to be good. Doesn't mean he's going to be good, but he is going to be motivated. We'll see if that matters. Ohio State loses a lot of their stars. They lose Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton on the defensive line, Cody Simon at linebacker, Denzel Burke, Lathan Ransom, and Jordan Hancock.
Jack Sawyer play
at and the defensive secondary. As I already mentioned with the defensive line, they're bringing back a lot of players who have played. The biggest concern on Ohio State is their defensive tackle depth. Like I mentioned with Oregon, that is not a position they can have an injury. If they have an injury at defensive tackle depth, unless a freshman steps up, they're screwed. They have a lot of depth at edge because they have players that have played and they brought in some transfers. Defensive tackle is not a place that they can lose. Linebacker, they have two 6'4", 230-pound linebackers who are going to run 4.5s. Like both of them are probably going to be first round picks. Like as a linebacker guy, I'm ecstatic.
I don't think I've ever heard those.
It's crazy.
Those measurements for a linebacker.
Crazy. Like they're huge. They're fast. Sonny Styles was linebacker last year. He led the team in tackles, which is interesting because that was his first year at linebacker. He had 100 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 6 sacks. Because when you're 6'4", 230, 240, you can also rush the passer. And then they brought in another guy from Cleveland Glenville who's the same size. Like it's fucking insane. I love every second of it. Ohio State has had bad linebackers for a while, which awful for me personally because Ohio State is why I played linebacker. Like watching James Laurinaitis, watching all of those guys, watching why am I forgetting his name? Who was on track to be a Hall of Famer before he got injured for the Steelers? Ryan Shazier.
Yeah.
McMillan, like watching all of the Josh Perry, all those guys is why I wanted to be linebackers, and Ohio State's linebackers suck. So we're finally back at that. We have Caleb Downs. The questions on the defense come at safety, the second safety next to Caleb
played
Downs.
Linebacker, didn't he?
No, he was a defensive end. So the second safety is going to be young, so we don't know him. The slot corner is going to be converted from wide receiver. A lot of Ohio State fans are just assuming he's going to be good. I'm not doing that. But our corners should be good. The problem with the one corner slot, though, is Davison Igbinosun, who is very, very good, but also very, very handsy, and loves to to get pass interference penalties. So
Likes to grab. Okay.
this defense needs to be top 12. If it's top 12, they can do it. They have the talent. If Matt Patricia doesn't ruin it, they're fine. I don't expect them to be number one last year, like they were last year. They need to be top 12. If they're anything outside the top 12, I do think that sort of hurts, especially the further away they get. Top 15, maybe they're fine. Top 20, they're not winning a national championship. So I think that is, they have some questions, but they have a lot of talent. And ultimately, the biggest thing for them is, while you have, like, they have more depth, again, to do the comparison with Oregon, they have more depth than Oregon, but Oregon has a 10-sack guy, right? So if you can't rush the passer, it doesn't matter. Oregon may not have the depth, but they have a guy who's going to be a nightmare. So
They
there
at least
are
got a guy.
questions
Yeah.
on the defensive line. They may end up with a guy, right? But we just don't know. Any thoughts on Ohio State? Final thoughts before we do the schedule?
No, I think there should be, they're going to be Ohio State. Legit, they're probably just going to be Ohio State again. But I do think that in this Ryan Day era, not era, but I think I don't want to say it, but I think the Ryan Day Ohio State is probably going to give you a loss or two in its season, but you're definitely going to be a national championship contender because you're Ohio State.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think most teams in this era are going to give you a loss, so that means nothing to
No,
me
yeah,
per se.
yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Tired of all these undefeateds.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I've been pushing for the expanded playoff because expecting all of these teams to go undefeated forever is insane to me. Um, so to do the schedule, and the last thing that I want to say about Ohio State, um, is just that I think the biggest benefit that Ohio State has this year is that everyone is in the same space, right? Like, Penn State is probably the best returning team in the country, and Penn State has their issues, right? Again, to reiterate myself, Alabama first year quarterback, Oregon first year quarterback, Texas first year quarterback, Georgia first time quarterback. That helps Ohio State, and that they're fighting with a young team in a year where everyone is young except the teams that you expect to beat. Maybe it works out that Penn State just wins the Natty, and that's fine. That's great for Penn State. But all of the other teams, they're not going up against an Alabama that's bringing back all of their stars in a 3-year starter at quarterback, right? Them in the national title chase, that is where they sort of benefit. Notre Dame, another team with the first year quarterback. Alabama, who I didn't mention initially, first year quarterback. All the teams that you expect to contend, except Penn State, have a first year quarterback. And so that helps them in years where this sort of roster turnover would hurt them. And I think that's important to mention when you're talking about this. You have to view the team in the state that they're in. First game of the year, they have Texas. We both have a win. The thing with Texas is Texas and Ohio State have very similar rosters. I just think that people are lying on Texas because of how much they like Arch. Texas is losing 4 of their offensive linemen. They're losing both of their running backs. They're losing their quarterback, and they're losing their top 2 wide receivers. That's just too much to lose. I do think they're still going to be good, but to expect them to be better than Ohio State week 1, when Ohio State you have 4 returning offensive linemen. They can just run the ball, right? I just think that, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close, but when I'm picking this, I do pick Ohio State to win. Grambling, Ohio wins bye week. Washington,
Early bye week.
yeah. Washington, Minnesota wins. At Illinois, you talk about Ohio State under Ryan Day may give you a loss. This is a game that they could lose. I think they sort of out-talent Illinois, especially because this is their 6th game of the year. So I think at this point, they're sort of who they are. You know what I mean? I think that, like, if Illinois was 4, and this is not me saying that they couldn't lose. I'm saying I don't think they lose because it's If this game was earlier, I'd be a little bit more concerned. 6 games as a starting quarterback, you're sort of in a groove, or you've replaced the quarterback. I think you sort of know who you are at that point. But this is a team that, like, if you told me Ohio State lost to Illinois, I'd be mildly surprised, but not like shocked.
Uh,
At
I can
Wisconsin,
see it happen.
we both have a win, bye week, and then they play Penn State. This is where I sort of struggled because Penn
Excuse me.
State should be the better team, but they're still Penn State, and it's at Ohio State. And I will save some of the Penn State things because we're going to talk about them next, of course. But I I think Penn State roster has more holes than people are willing to admit. And I don't like the quarterback. If this game was at Penn State, I probably would pick Ohio State to win. But Ohio State beat Penn State last year when their quarterback threw a pick six and their offense didn't function for three quarters. And then Penn State does what it always does, which is literally driven. And all of the time we've done this podcast, I don't think you've harbored on a single point as much as you have about how disappointed you were that Penn State called an all-out blitz in the fourth quarter
Mm-hmm.
of that game and lost.
Yeah.
And that's just what Penn State has to win. It's like with wrestling. It's like with UFC, right? It's like with boxing. If it's close, you give it to the champ. You have to beat them, right? Like this happened. Like my best friend doesn't love John Jones. And John Jones had a fight where he thought that he lost. And I said, but it was close. And if it's close, it goes to the champ. You have to
Yeah.
beat the champ. And so for me to
You
pick
gotta
Penn
beat 'em.
State to beat Ohio State when they haven't done it in 8 straight years, you have to see it. It's just like with Michigan. Like I wasn't picking Michigan to beat Ohio State because they hadn't done it. Now Ohio State has lost 4 in a row. I'm not mad at anyone who won't pick Ohio State to beat Michigan because they haven't done it in 4 years. Penn State hasn't beat Ohio State in 8, 9 years. Even though I think they're going to be good, it's hard for me to pick Penn State at Ohio Stadium. So I have a win. You have a loss.
I do.
And if you want to, do you want to go into that?
I think you're right about them having holes about Penn State, but I think Penn State is, I would have to say, more prepared because there are players coming back for Ohio State that are prepared for this moment, but I think Penn State is more prepared for this moment this year. And even though it is at Ohio State, I think Penn State pulls it off this year. And that's the the loss that happens for Ohio State that keeps them from being undefeated. I don't think um I don't think it's going to be like a definitive win for Penn State. I think it's going to be a close win, but I think they get the win this year. And Penn State, like how Oregon kind of did last year, how Oregon just kind of, even though I don't think Oregon was that much better than Ohio State, Oregon still got the win in a close game. I think that's what happens this time for Penn State, is that it's not that much better, but it's just enough to get the win. Penn State finished this year off, and then we go into the playoffs. Because I gotta remember, you gotta remember that Penn State, even though they lost last year, has a lot of momentum going into this season. And I think that momentum is going to be a driving force for them to get that win against Ohio State.
I think that's fair. And I would just like to say that Penn State should win this game. I am on a mission because people do this and it bothers me. My co-host was talking to me and she was like, I can't believe they ranked Penn State over Ohio State. I said, no. They needed to rank Penn State over Ohio State. We need to be honest with Penn State's expectations. To say Ohio State is a better team than Penn State going into the season is a lie. Penn State
It wouldn't make any
themselves
sense.
said they need to win a national championship. Their coach, their players, their roster, everyone coming back. Penn State should beat Ohio State. Penn State should make the national championship. We already said this. We said if they didn't make the national championship, they don't have to win it. That's hard. But if they didn't make the national championship, this year would be a failure. So I'm fully fine with saying that they should win the game. I'm fully fine with saying they will. I couldn't pick it because again, it's a challenge, and I want to win the challenge. And being different on these games do matter, and I think they
Yeah.
need to do it. Like I just want to see them do it, but realistically, they should win, right? They have, and I want to save some of this because we're going to them in 2 minutes, but they have
Yeah.
2 3-year running backs. They have a 3-year starting quarterback. They're bringing back their multiple players on their offensive line. They brought in wide receiver transfers. They have denied Denton Sutton, who is 1, 2, or 3 best pass rushers in the league. They have good line. Like
Yeah.
they have the roster to do
Yeah.
it. So they should win this game.
They should win. They should get the W. And I think, especially coming off how they lost last year, how they played in the Big Ten championship game, how they were playing in the playoffs against Notre Dame and things like that. That is a lot of momentum. And to see that we brought all this back and we had all that momentum, we played really, really well, especially to finish the season, and we bring it in even more talent. We can win this game. We're going to win this game. Not even just win. We can. We're going to. So I think that's why I picked Penn State to get the win over Ohio State this year. Like I'm not gonna harper on my Ryan Day thing, but this could be the new thing, at least for this 1 year, where you're like, what are you doing? Like that, I think that could be the game, right? Where it's like, Ryan Day, what are you doing? I don't think it's gonna happen against Michigan this year, but I think it might be this game for some odd reason. You're like, what are we doing? And again, I also don't have that much faith in Matt Patricia, so because I don't really like him. I just don't like him as a defensive coordinator. Don't think he's that good.
Yeah. At Purdue, win. At UCLA, win. Rutgers, win. And at Michigan, we both have a win.
We both have a win. I have a feeling, just like last year, I'm gonna regret that.
So I won't,
And
I can't go back on what I just said, and that I can't be mad at anyone who doesn't pick it. And the cruel twist of Ohio State and Ryan Day and things like that. I think they finally beat Michigan this year because, and again, wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. Ryan Day loves to lose this game. I just think that there's sort of a level, as calm as you can be going into the greatest rivalry game in college football history. I think there's a level of calm going into the game because he won a national championship that allows him to not overthink it.
yeah,
I could very
I can
much be
understand
wrong because
Yeah.
I don't know how you overthink yourself into a loss last year when you have that much better of a roster. But
yeah. I
famous last
just don't.
words, I think this is a sort of,
Yeah, I don't think it's happening
yeah,
again.
but
There's no way we go half. There's no way we go half this decade.
that would be insane. Penn State, Penn State, Penn State, they should be the best team in the country. Like I'm saying it here. I will not back off of it. They said it. They have the roster. Michigan did it, won a national championship. Ohio State did it, won a national championship. I am not going to let people, well, it's Penn State, this team. They should be the best team in the country. I would have made them the number 1 team in the country over Texas. I just think the expectation needs to be what it is. So if they don't reach it, we can be honest about it.
I think I don't know how Texas is getting some of this love,
Arch
but I think
Manning.
it's just because it's Texas. But okay, yeah, that too.
So Penn State. Penn State is returning 76% of its offensive production, which is 10th in the country. 53% of its defensive production, which I think that is going to matter, but that's 70th in the country. They have Drew Aller, who's back for his 3rd year as a starting quarterback. They have Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, who are both back as their 3rd year, and they became the first duo in Penn State history to both run for 1,000 yards. They have Andel Kodolnicki, who's in his 2nd year as an offensive coordinator, so you should expect that to be better. They also are returning 4 starters on their offensive line, and all 4 of them earned all Big Ten recognition. The only thing that they're losing on offense, and this is a huge thing to lose, don't get me wrong, is Tyler Warren. They brought in a couple transfers at wide receiver. I think they're good wide receivers. I don't think they're spectacular. but they have people who can catch the ball. When in the Notre Dame game, they didn't have a single catch for a wide receiver. So
That's what, and that's what I'm saying. You don't. This year for Penn State, especially, you don't need great receivers. You got pretty far with no talent at that position.
yes,
If you have some talent at that position, especially with a running game and your offensive line coming back, and you have a 3-year starting quarterback with talent now, that should be enough to get to the national championship game and win it.
and that is the official position of this show. I am not going to let you, because the thing is, you wouldn't do it for Ohio State. You didn't do it for
And
Michigan the year they
we
did.
we
You
sure
wouldn't do
didn't.
it for
Yeah.
Georgia. You wouldn't do it for Alabama, and you're not doing it for Texas. And Penn State has been better longer than Texas. Penn State
Yeah, by
has
far.
to stop getting these excuses.
Penn State was a better team than Texas last year.
So you can no longer give them the excuses. They have it. The expectation is national championship. If they don't do it, then you have that conversation. But I'm not giving them the room to Penn State their way out of it and say, we're just happy with 10 wins. You told us you weren't happy with 10 wins.
I was about to say, they don't want that. They want to win the Big Ten. They want to get to the national championship game. You could tell how they were playing in the game against Notre Dame. They wanted that. So yeah, this should be a national championship game team. Like, you should be in that game.
I think that's.
I for a fact, you're playing in the Big Ten championship game. I know that. It's just whoever your opponent's going to be, but you're definitely going to be in the Big Ten championship.
And the thing is, right? Ohio State didn't play in the Big Ten championship game. They lost 2 games. They won the national championship. If Penn State does that, it's still a success.
Yeah.
But think about how we talked about Ohio State when they did that. We can't do that. Well, if they can still get to the playoffs at 2 wins. Like, nobody thought Ohio State was winning. Most people thought Ohio State would lose to Tennessee in the first round. They just happened to win. So we also can't do that, but it's okay because they could still win a national championship because no one expected that. Their expectation needs to be what Ohio State's was last year, which Michigan's was the year before, the expectation that they themselves are setting, the expectations you have with the 3rd-year starting quarterback, when everyone in the country, I will name them again, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia, all have first-year starting quarterbacks. I'd list every team that you think is going to win a national championship except Clemson. All have a first-year quarterback. You have a 3-year starter. 2.
Are we thinking Clemson? Okay.
Not us, but people. 2 running backs.
People think
who are 3-year starters and both ran for 1,000 yards last year. 4 offensive line starters, one of which, if not multiple, who are going to be first-round picks, but at least one of them I think is going to be a first-round pick.
That run game, and the thing is that you have those running backs that should with okay to good talent at wide receiver that can become great. That can be legit become great if you can run the ball, especially since with play action and things like that. And this year, your play action is going to be very, very good and manipulative because you have a 3-year quarterback and you run the ball well. Everybody's going to assume that's what you're going to do, even though you brought in talent. You're still going to assume that this team is going to run the ball, which they will do, but that play action should be a dangerous weapon for this team, especially if you're bringing in okay to good talent at receiver.
Yeah. So the biggest question on the offense for Penn State is the quarterback, because I don't think he's good. He lost in the Notre Dame game, straight up, straight down. He did.
Mm-hmm.
But
which is weird because he played well all season until like that game, for real. I didn't say great. I didn't say good. I said he played well.
Thank you.
He played well.
I was going. You're right. You're right. I was going to say something crazy, and you're right. You said well. That is true. That is true.
Because the thing is, he didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest thing you want your quarterback to do. He was not turning the ball over. And in my eyes, if you're playing into the semifinals of the playoffs and your quarterback is really known for not turning the ball over, he played good. He did well.
Yeah.
He did well.
So, and I think their offense has to be even better this year because I think their defense is going to struggle by their standards. So on their defense, their scoring defense and their rushing defense, almost everything was top 10. Their passing defense averaged 30-ish. They were 31st in passing defense, 32 in yards per attempt, 26 in QB rating, 56 in completion percentage, 39 explosive pass. Those are not typical numbers for a Penn State defense, and they're losing people. And they're losing people on their defense. Everyone's going to say that they have Jim Knowles. Yes, Jim Knowles is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, if not one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. As someone who just went through the Jim Knowles experience, I will tell you two things. One, his defense is really hard to learn, so you sort of struggle. Ohio State sort of struggled the first year with him. And two, he puts a lot of pressure on the secondary, and Penn State didn't have a great secondary last year and lost some people. When I say struggle, I don't mean bad. I mean they could be a top 15 defense and maybe not a top 5. They could also be top 5. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think this is a year that they need their offense more than typical, because I do think some of the losses on defense, their defense slides just a little bit. Instead of being every year it's 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe it's 8, 9, 10, 11, could even be 15. That is still really good. That is still good enough to win a national championship. Like I said with Ohio State, as long as they're top 12, top 15, they can win. If they're below top 15, they're not going to win. But that pass defense from last year is sort of a concern. And they're having slightly more of a rebuild on defense. They lost Abdul Carter. He looks amazing in the preseason. He's gonna be he's in the running for defensive rookie of the year. He was number 3 pick in the draft. They're bringing back 5-star denied Dennis Sutton, who is good. He's not great, but he's good. He's probably top 3, top 4 defensive end and in the Big Ten. They have Zane Durant, who's one of the best defensive tackles in general. They lose one of their starting linebackers, Kobe King, but they are bringing back Tony Rojas, who was decent last year, but he started to put it on at the end because he's a young player. And he's one of the players that had a pick 6 against SMU. And they brought in a transfer in the secondary. They get back 2 all big defensive backs and corner AJ Harris and safety Zakee Wheatley. Zakee Wheatley at safety is a player who's getting a lot of talk in the draft. So it's Penn State. They have good players, but they are losing some key players. They have some young guys on the defensive line. They're going to have 2 young guys, a younger safety and a younger corner. And they're learning a new defense, which is notoriously hard to learn. It is a great defense, helped Ohio State win a national title, but in a year when you need to win, they would be better off if they had last year's defensive coordinator who's went to Clemson. So
I think I get what you're saying, but I think that type of urgency, and again with what this team wants to do, I think that could even be helpful in a way. The urgency to learn this defense that you know is a championship winning type of defensive scheme can be something where you're like, I want to win a championship now. I know we got the coach to do it too. I'm going to put in the work to learn this so we can finish this ride out like we're supposed to.
That's a good point. Another point in the favor that Penn State needs to make the national championship. Because again, I'm trying to look at it from all sides, but you did bring in the defensive coordinator from a team that won a national championship last year. So, and you paid him the highest money of any coordinator in the country. So you clearly wanted him. So I really just don't have anything else to say about Penn State. It's a roster who has a 3-year starting quarterback, 2 of the best running backs in the country, 1 of the best defensive ends in the country, returning players at linebacker, 4 offensive line starters. You bring in a transfer wide receiver. This team has no excuses. You have no excuse.
And you were good last year. You literally were right there. I think they're poised to finish out the run they had last year. Should be able to.
So, any last thoughts?
And you got a pretty favorable season for real. You only got 2. You got 2 teams, and you're better than one of them, legit in my eyes. So.
Agreed. Any final thoughts before we do the schedule?
That was it. That was my final thought.
Schedule: Nevada, FIU, Villanova. Those should be disgusting blowouts.
Yeah.
Then they get an early bye. It's interesting. Some of the best teams
I think all these
have
3
early
teams
buys.
I
Yeah,
think all 3 teams have a 3rd
yeah.
week
I
bye,
actually think
or a 4th
they
week
all
bye.
have the same bye.
That's what I'm saying, the
No.
4th
I'm
week
saying
bye, if
even the
I'm looking at
last
it.
one, this October 25th bye, because I'm pretty sure.
Week 9 no. No, Oregon's
Okay, but
different.
Ohio State and
Week
Penn State
6
have
is
the
their
same
first
one
one.
because
Have
Ohio
the
State and
exact
Penn
same
State are
yes.
playing each other off the bye, which is going to make that game
Yeah.
even more interesting. And then Oregon and Penn State are both playing each other off the bye. So then they play Oregon. We've already said that we have them winning that game. It's the whiteout game. Everyone should watch it. It's going to be a really fun game.
No, Oregon doesn't get their bye until week 6, their first
Oh,
bye.
okay. So it's just Penn State and
Ohio State and have the exact same
Got you.
bye
Yep.
scheduling.
So they
Yeah.
play Oregon, win. UCLA, Northwestern, Iowa. We have wins, and then they have a bye. Then they play Ohio State. You have a win. I have a loss. We've already talked about that game. We don't need to rehash it. They play Indiana. Now, to be fair, there's a bye week in between. At Iowa, at Ohio State, at Indiana is a tough stretch. If they're the team that we expect them to be, they should win that. They should.
I think they definitely get the Iowa win. They're gonna get the Indiana win, because I think Indiana takes a step back regardless, but it won't be much. It's the Ohio State game. That's because
the secondary against
Indiana's
the
at home.
secondary at Indiana worries me a little bit. I will say this,
but I think week 11, week 12, that's fine though.
Well, it's fine unless they're just
fine.
not great, which they weren't great last year. They were good enough, but I mean, they ended up between 30 and 50. So like this is what I would say.
I think they're going to get to the quarterback. They'll be able to get to Indiana's quarterback and things like that. That'll help that passing defense for that game.
I have the Ohio State loss. I think they lose. Like you said, like Ohio State, like, Ryan Day's going to lose one. I have much more faith that Ryan Day would go undefeated than James Franklin. I think they lose a game. I also think losing a game helps them. If they lose a game, I think it's in this stretch. It's one of Iowa, Ohio State, Indiana. I'm picking Ohio State. You don't have them losing at all. But so my question is, would you be surprised if they lost one of the 3?
No.
I think this.
I would be Iowa.
Okay.
That would surprise me. That would surprise me if they lost to Iowa.
Fair enough. Then they finish out the year at Michigan State, Nebraska, Rutgers. I also want to go to the Rutgers game, but that's not going to happen unless that game's at night. It's going to be really cold. But like it's warm. But here's the thing. It's warmer in New York than it is in Ohio. Yes.
During that time? I don't know, man. I've been to New York during that time.
I've lived here for 2 years. The winters in Ohio are worse. Winters in Ohio are worse. I tell you that for sure.
Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah. It's we don't gotta get stuck on that. It is. You have them.
We only got one snow here last year.
It doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't snow here as much as you think. Like it doesn't snow, especially with global warming and New York. Like New York literally just got their climate got recategorized to a tropical climate because they're on the ocean. Like it's whatever. You have 12-0. I have 11-1. This is a team who needs to be in the Big Ten championship game, and they need to make the national championship. There's no other way to put it.
I don't know about needs to be in the Big Ten because, like, at this point, Ohio State kind of proved that that's not.
But my thing is,
needs to be in the national championship game. They want the Big Ten championship. They want both. I
disagree with that, and I mentioned that earlier.
Okay.
If they don't make it and still win a national championship, it can be forgiven like Ohio State. But going into the season, Ohio State was expected to be in that game, and they should have the same expectation.
You're right.
If we look back and say, man, they did the same thing Ohio State. They didn't do it, but they won a national championship, fine. But going in, they need to be in that game. Ohio State needed to be in that game, and the only reason we're fine with the fact that they weren't in that game is because they won a national championship.
That's fair. You got me there.
So those are our 3 teams. I'm just gonna ask you: does one of these 3 teams win a national championship? Yes or no? And who is it?
Yeah, I'm going with Penn State.
That's fair.
And then I think James Franklin retires right then and there.
No, he's not going to, but that would be amazing. Okay, so we're at an hour and a half. Let's wrap this show up very quickly. Do you have a pit stop?
I was gonna do WWE going to ESPN, but like
We'll
I don't
combine it
care.
because I think it's interesting because
Yeah.
ESPN is coming out with this direct to streaming thing where they're trying to create an app for $30 and everything that's on the ESPN networks you have access to. And to booster this deal, they added WWE. The expectation is that they would also have UFC because UFC has been on ESPN for like 8 or 9 years, and WWE
And
and UFC is
WWE
owned by the same
and
company.
UFC.
And then literally the week like 2 days after they announced the WWE deal, UFC signed a $7.7 billion deal with Paramount. Same company, by the way. So that's interesting that they split up their properties, but money talks. And
well, it's always been
well,
split up.
yeah, but
These
like
properties, even after the merger, they've always been split up. The reason why I'm going to say I'm gonna go, so I can let you go. The reason why I think this is happening is because WWE's pay-per-views, I think, get more of a viewership because it's cheaper.
yes.
So
And WWE already did the
bec-
thing where they put their pay-per-views on Peacock for free. Like they may still have
yeah,
a couple pay-per-views, but a lot of them, if you have Peacock, you can
no, all
watch.
the pay-per-views you could watch all of
Yeah.
them on Peacock. So that's about to be gone next year, of course. But yeah, they're all on Peacock. So that's why I'm saying the viewership. I think they looked at the viewership. They're not actually looking at the money. They looked at the viewership
Yes.
portion of it and realized that WWE was getting more viewership for their pay-per-views than the UFC was. And the only reason why that is because you have to pay $50,
$80
$60 for a UFC pay.
plus a $10 monthly fee because you had to be a YouTube Plus subscriber, and then it went to $82.99. Ask me how I know. Ask me if I paid for it since it went to $80. No, no. Yeah,
These pay-per-views are 80 something
$82.99
dollars.
plus the $10 subscription fee to
And
ESPN Plus.
right. Right. So that's what
Yeah.
they were looking at. I think that's what they're looking at, viewership and not the money, because they looked at UFC's viewership and it was like it's down because it's 80 something dollars for these things. And they looked at the
It's
WWE
up.
and everybody's paying $5 for Peacock.
And
it's
wrestling has
So
had, like, you've been talking about wrestling forever, but so many people are talking about wrestling again. And part of it's the storylines are interesting, but they're also like throwing 70-year-old John Cena. People are talking about it because they can watch it. And I'm sorry for bringing that up because I don't want you to rant. I want to end the show. People are talking about it because they
he's
can
not
watch
70.
it. And so I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, a lot of these people are not.
And so, yeah.
Not paying, especially since also they're looking. The thing is too is that the pay-per-views are also on Netflix across the
Yeah.
board. So they're looking like, oh, viewership is up. Like, no, it's
Yes.
just easier.
And so this is a
It's just easier.
conversation.
Or
Yeah.
more
I will
affordable.
save this for another day because anyone who's listened to this for a while knows I like talking about like media contracts and things like that. But the last thing I'll say is this is interesting, is a lot of people expected the major companies to sort of bow out. The major companies, like the historical brands, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, to sort of bow out to Netflix, Amazon, these sort of things. They were all late to streaming, right? Peacock and Paramount Plus and all that was many years later after Amazon and Netflix and all of that. And they've all doubled down on sports. NBC kicked ESPN out of the Big Ten.
NBA. Oh.
No, ESPN's still in the NBA. NBC kicked.
Yeah, but the NBC has NBA
So NBC
now.
kicked ESPN out of the Big Ten, and then they kicked TNT out of the NFL, so they have big sports products. CBS has always had the NFL, but now they have UFC. That's a big sports product. Like, these legacy media companies are not laying down and taking it and just letting Netflix and Amazon steal all the sports, which is what a lot of people thought was going to happen, which I think is interesting as well.
Well, the thing is, I will also say is that it should have happened. Netflix, I'll have to say Netflix and Amazon didn't do the proper job of putting the nail in the coffin.
They let them off
you
the
got to
mat.
remember that
they had time. You're 100% right.
Because the boxing thing with Netflix did, that was awful. I'll tell you now, some of the broadcasting for Monday Night Raw on Netflix, awful. They they didn't put the nail in. They didn't go. They
Yeah.
didn't aim for the
They
head.
they let them off the mat, and now these they're back into it. So
They got
I'm
it back in the
excited for it.
fight.
I have Paramount Plus. It's one of the ones that I typically cancel, but now I'll probably keep it because I like some of the movies. I like some of the
I have
movies on
Paramount
there,
Plus.
and UFC is fun when you don't have to pay
I like
$80 for
watching.
it. So
Yeah, there's a like on my stream. I like watching old shows like
same, yeah.
Next
Well, not
and
on stream, but
and
just
stuff
in
like
general.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, it has SpongeBob, Rocket Power, all that stuff. But I still be watching those stuff on Paramount, especially with my
Yeah.
nephews.
All right. Well, that's the show. We've done it. Our previews are a freaking monster. If we do 18 teams over 4 episodes, it's like
Big Ten,
it's
don't
like
add no more.
6 hours of content. They're all like an hour and a half. It gets crazy.
Don't add no
Yeah,
more Big Ten. I swear to
please
God.
don't. But thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week. As always, you can follow us on YouTube and Instagram at Get Defensive Sports Network, and we'll see you next week.